Ministers for Education and Finance have been summoned to appear before Parliament to explain government's failure to release funds owed to the West African Examinations Council WAEC. Also coming up this morning, Traders Advocacy Group Ghana urges incoming government to prioritize addressing the cedi depreciation. We've got details of these and many more coming up in the next 20 minutes if you spend your time with me. Remember, we're live on DSTV channel 279. Let's begin from Parliament because the Minority Chief Whip has raised an alarm over plans by the government to engage a private entity for the activation of the e-gate system at the Kotoka International Airport at a cost of $147 million. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia launched the electronic gate the second time reports indicate, as he stressed the achievement will streamline immigration at the airport. Kwame Governs Abuja is cautioning against the transfer of any money to a recently opened Bank of Ghana account for the project deemed to be created to create loot and share.
The Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, actually looked on when an entity in this country actually proposed that the e-gate alone will be $200 million. E-gate in an airport that cost $250 million was supposed to be done for $200 million. That amount has been revised to $140 million, and today we are told that is still around $147 million. What will be the reason, justification for this? And as I speak to you, Ministry of Finance and Ghana Immigration Service are in a rush to activate this and allow a private entity to fleece the people of this country, because there's an opportunity to charge, according to them, $5 per passenger to take this money. And actually, when they are even in opposition, they will be making money out of this. Why on earth would a whole airport cost $250 million to build? And you will be trying to get into an agreement with an entity to run an e-gate service for almost $147 million. This can be at the peak of create, loot, and share, and everybody involved in this. I know that this, when they went through the scenarios to, the VFM and other things, as we speak, the VFM for this, even this loot, create, loot, and share, is not completed. But people are at Bank of Ghana trying to open an account for GIS and others to start collecting this money. The warning is this. This is an illegality. Do not proceed. And every civil servant who is involved in a hasty decision to sign an agreement with this entity, I have decided not to mention the entity, but this entity specializes in getting soft money from DVLA, Passport Office, National Identification Authority, and other things. This time round, it's not going to happen. So, Bank of Ghana, Ministry of Finance, Ghana Immigration Service, by the laws that we pass in this house, that activity was not supposed to be, an operation by Ghana Immigration Service. It's an integrated service that is supposed to be provided at the airport. There's no need for us to do what they are doing. So the e-gate cannot be $147 million, just the provision of service, when the entire airport costs $250 million. So we are watching. So if you are a civil servant being cajoled to go ahead and do this agreement, we are watching you. When you tried to open the account last week at Bank of Ghana, we knew what you did. Who is going to be drawing money from that account? We are watching you. When the political actors who are compelling you to do this are gone, on the 7th of January, you'll be on your own. So do not put yourself into any trouble.
Kwame Governs Abuja is the Minority Chief Whip and also Member of Parliament for Adako. Let's still stay in Parliament because the Bekwai MP and First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osei-Owusu, has called on the New Patriotic Party, NPP, to adopt a people-centered approach in understanding the overwhelming defeat it suffered in the 2024 elections. He emphasized the need for thorough engagement and understanding to the party's dwindling fortunes. Osei-Owusu has also expressed confidence in Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's potential candidacy should he decide to contest the presidency, describing him as a strong option to lead the party into future elections. Take a listen.
When it comes to a situation where your base simply refuse to vote, it calls for further and better probe into what happened. I think at this point, what any MPP needs to do, and that's what we should be focusing on, is talk to the everyday people why they refuse to vote. Find out what we could do better and what we should do now. We should not pretend to know everything. But this is a clear sign that people were not happy with us. The way Ghanaians evaluated our performance is different from the way I see it. Therefore, I can't continue based on my perception or my experience only. We should take time to listen and be guided by what we hear. As we speak, everybody throwing about allegations and things they're just conjecture. Let's allow ourselves time. Let's allow cool heads to come and let's get proper explanations as to what happened. There's a process selecting our candidate. When the time comes, the process will take him through. And I'm sure if he wishes to contest again, he is totally capable of winning.
And now let's move away from Parliament. Ghana's 2024 general elections resulted in 76 incidents and 46 injuries, resulting in 6 deaths. Report from CDD, Kodeyo and WANEB highlights the challenges of a democratic milestone. The Center for Democratic Development, CDD, in collaboration with Kodeyo and WANEB, addressed the recurrence of violence in Ghana's elections. They contend the fear that violence perpetuated by political parties before, during and after elections poses a significant threat to Ghana's democracy. Senior Programs Manager for Security Sector Governance and Local Urban Governance at the CDD, Kwabena Abrampa Mensah, expressed deep disappointment, emphasizing the urgent need for action to prevent such occurrences in the future.
In 2024, the data we have so far, all the 6 are men. Security was trying to whisk away EC officials, but they were still being held with stones, and the police station, even they went to hide them. The police station itself was vandalized. So who policed the police and who secures the safety of the officials who are there to work for us?
The Vice Chairperson of the National Elections Response Group, Theodora Williams-Anti, praised the security forces for their exemplary performance during the 2024 elections.
We had very high tensions and very high stakes, and it's very, very important to know that we say it's peaceful today because a lot of work has gone into it, including what you have done with your various organizations. We commend the National Election Security Task Force, that is the police, for the great job they've done so far. We have made a lot of calls on the police, especially post-election, to take steps to minimize the post-election violence and the chaos we have seen.
Well, if you just tuned in, you're watching the Morning News on New Day. Let's know what you make of stories that have been aired so far. Go on to Facebook, TV3 Ghana Real Life. Engage us with your comments and observations. We'll surely read them and share them to the rest of the world. And now, a human rights advocate, Professor Techua Menu, has expressed disappointment at the decision of the Apex Court, noting that the bill failed to protect the rights of Ghanaians. The Supreme Court earlier unanimously dismissed the suits challenging the constitutionality of the Anti-LGBTQ bill, paving way for President Akufo-Addo to assent to the bill or otherwise. Lodi Ruasari reports.
Hearing the parties follow and consider that measure containing that case without a non-constitutional basis has not only progress with the innovation of the court. Now, the statute of the legislation being amended so that the process of carrying law in accordance with the provision fully set out in the Constitution.
The 7-member panel of justices who presided over the case indicated that in the case of media personality and lawyer Richard Delasky, the bill has not yet become law and hence described the suit as premature, since there's nothing against which to exercise the judicial review of the Supreme Court. Regarding the suit filed by researcher Dr. Amanda Odoi, The Apex Court ruled that the plaintiff did not properly invoke the jurisdiction of the court. Lawyers for the plaintiffs reacted after the court's decision.
The bill had not blossomed into an act. Therefore, we had no right to come to court. But please, for now, it is just a tip of the iceberg. Let's get a full judgment. Look at it with the lawyers' lenses, then possibly advise our clients on the next step.
The decision of the Supreme Court is final, but this is not final. There is another leg for finality to go. There is a review jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, which is available to us if we want to use it. And so it's not final. There have been instances where there has been a 5-0 and an appeal. On the review, it has been overturned. So anything can happen. So it depends on what is in there in the judgment, and then we can.
Human rights advocate Professor Techiwa Menu was displeased with the decision of the Apex Court.
I don't reckon that it is a fruitless cause. What you are telling us is that we must legislate intolerance into law. That is a dangerous way to go, because the next time they might say that they don't want burly men like you, and because majoritarian rule or a democracy does not mean just the wishes of the majority. It is also about protecting minorities. So the fact that you do not want an LGBT person as your neighbor does not mean that you're going to send somebody to jail just because the person says that they are gay or lesbian, and then we must pay for their upkeep. No, that is not right.
With this unanimous decision by the Apex Court, it remains to be seen if President Akufo-Addo will assent to the bill or otherwise. Until then, we wait to see what the decision or the full reason of the court is. This will be made available this Friday. Lodi Dwasari, TV3 News, Supreme Court, Accra.
And away from the court, the ranking member on the Education Committee and MP for Akachi North, Peter Nochukotoi, has called on the Ministers for Education and Finance to appear before Parliament to explain the government's failure to release funds owed the West African Examinations Council, WAEC. The delayed payment of 180 million cedis, he says, is jeopardizing, the timely release of the 2024 WASI results.
A serious financial challenge facing WAEC with regard to the conduct of the 2024 WASI, post-examination activities and the release of results. WAEC stated that the Ministry of Education was owing the Council the sum of 118 million Ghana cedis. The effect of the delay in the release of funds to WAEC is negatively affecting their mandate in several ways. WAEC has to incur high costs of conducting examinations because materials cannot be procured in bulk and in advance. Also, WAEC is unable to pay examiners in time, and it is beginning to lose experienced and seasoned examiners. The target date of 19 December for the release of the 2024 WASI results will have to delay because examiners are threatening to hold on to their scripts if payments are not made to them on the submission of marked scripts. WAEC is unable to fund either regular maintenance that is required or procure new equipment. The release of the results of 2024 WASI will be put on hold, and the chances of successful candidates entering tertiary institutions early next year will be affected. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I wish to urge you to invite the Ministers for Education and Finance to appear before the House and explain why government is unable to release funds to WAEC to enable it to release the 2024 WASI results so that our children and wards are not denied the opportunity of entering tertiary institutions in January 2025.
Just so you know, you're still watching the morning news if you just tuned in, and our stakeholders have been urged to reignite effort in improving the welfare of women, children and young people. At the launch of Adolescent Girls and Young Women Initiative in Accra, NGOs emphasized the importance of protecting the vulnerable in society.
As part of the launch, the NGO is holding a 3-day training session for health professionals and peer educators. The training session, which aims to equip participants with the knowledge and skills needed to prevent and respond to sexual exploitation, abuse and harassment, was officially launched by the Executive Director of Hope for Future Generations, Cecilia Senu.
And we are working with young adolescent girls and young women in 3 regions, that is Greater Accra, Eastern, and then the Ashanti region. And so here we are training the young people who are the peer educators, and we are also training the health workers. And we are doing this training in partnership with NACP, who is our key partner. And you can see UNICEF, you can see UNFPA, you can see the CCM. All of them are part of this project.
Speaking at the launch, the ethics officer of the NGO, Catherine Williams-Sassa, engaged the audience on the importance of addressing sexual exploitation, abuse and harassment, particularly among vulnerable populations.
If someone is touching you inappropriately or giving you comments that you feel is offensive, you need to report it. Reporting it means that you are trying to let us know the bad ones on the program. For the Global Fund, they are really against sexual exploitation, abuse and harassment. So once you are an implementer or you are someone that the Global Fund gives funds to, you need to ensure that you create a safe space for everybody to work and thrive.
A participant, Tracy Bell, also shared her expectations.
I'm expecting to be educated more about STIs and other things, so I can able to help my colleagues to know much. Yeah.
The NGO is committed to working with stakeholders to prevent and respond to sexual exploitation and to promote a culture of equality for all.
And our Traders Advocacy Group Ghana, TAG, has called on the incoming government to prioritize addressing the depreciation of the city once it assumes office. President-elect John Dramani Mahama, joining his campaign, pledged to tackle the country's economic challenges. Speaking to 3 Business, the Executive Secretary of TAG expressed confidence in Mahama's proposed policies, highlighting their potential to create a more favorable environment for businesses to thrive.
Concerning port issues, access to credit, and so many things. Thank God the incoming administration were able to bring out a manifesto that is well couched, and it will capture a lot of things at the trading level. We hope and pray that whatever they said in their manifesto will come to pass. CD-dollar relationship will come down. They will have a very good relationship. It will not be like dollar beating CD all the time at his tenure. Definitely there will be that reconciliation for the CD to have a certain strength, so that traders in the country will be very happy.
And our victims of the Ocherekun flooding say they are yet to be compensated after their houses were collapsed by the contractor undertaking the Kaswa-Winneba Road expansion. In June this year, the design works caused heavy flooding due to the diversion of Ayensu River by the contractor. Here's a report by our Central Region correspondent, Akusiado.
Even though the contractor pledged to compensate them, the victims say the pledge is yet to be fulfilled. One of the victims whose house collapsed, 70-year-old Ruben Abuta Auga, has been living in an uncompleted house offered him by a Good Samaritan since the disaster. He says no support has been given him despite several efforts taken to reach the contractor.
No one has said anything. The foreman has blocked my number and kept insulting me. Even the NADMO officer asked me to take the issue to court. I recently heard on TV that the DC says he has sorted us out, but I have not received anything.
Prince Akalu's challenges were not different from Ruben's. Following the collapse of their single-room apartment, he and his wife are now residing in a partially completed building with no doors and windows. He is disappointed that authorities have not taken steps to address their concerns.
There has been no help. The place we sleep is not very good. We are living in an uncompleted building and the owner needs his house back.
Meanwhile, the DC Fukuma East, Samuel Dapokwam, during the payment of compensation to victims of the Bujumbura explosion, which was also the handiwork of same contractor, recently remarked that there were no outstanding compensations to be made.
Well, that's how we end the morning news. For more news updates, you'd want to log on to our website, is 3news.com. At this point, it is safe to wish you Merry Christmas in advance. May the remaining days of the year be fruitful and marked with great tidings. My name is Josh Quinn. Thanks for watching. It's always a pleasure coming your way. Good morning.
You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo.